This is my pitch for the Adventures of Karl Marx. It's about Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels traveling across Europe in their communist train. Now, this is a fictional steampunk Europe, so there can be all sort of crazy things. Now, their train, it was built inside of Friedrich Engels' communist factory. However, from the outside, it appears to be a capitalist factory, but on the inside, it's a worker's paradise. He has to make it look like a capitalist factory on the outside so the capitalists don't come in and take it over. And this makes a whole bunch of socialists really mad because they think Friedrich Engels is a capitalist, when in fact the whole thing's a front, it's a fake to protect the workers inside of the communist factory. Now I have I have an idea for the story arc for the first and second season. So in the first season, these episodes, well, really all the episodes, they're going to be about Marxist theory and a critique of capitalism. Sometimes both, sometimes one or the other. And throughout it, there's going to be a capitalist antagonist. And he's going to constantly fight Marx and Engels. And he's got an electricity gun, because electricity's cool. And sometimes he shoots it at Marx and Engels. At the end of the season, he's got an electricity hammer. He really likes electricity. Remember, this is the 1800s, and electricity's pretty new, so he really loves that kind of thing. And he got Marx and Engels cornered. He takes the hammer. He's about to smash in Marx and Engels' heads. When out in the shadows, a voice comes that says, "Hey buddies, you need help?" Or, it'd be a really cool one-liner, And then a sickle comes flying out, hits the hammer, and the hammer goes flying and comes back. Almost hits the capitalist in the head. And the guy catches it, and he dislodges the sickle from the hammer. And he looks at the hammer and says, "Mind if I seize this?" The guy steps out of the shadows, and who is it? Bernie Sanders. He leaps into the air. At the height, the very apex of his jump, he yells out, "Feel the burn!" And he slams down into the capitalist, turning the capitalist into red goo, saving Marx and Engels. They leave it there. At the very end of the episode, a pig comes in, eats the goo, every bit of it. And then the pig looks at the camera, and his eyes turn into dollar signs. Season 2, first episode, is revealed that Bernie Sanders has been infected by capitalism. It came from the very capitalist that he destroyed. Just getting a speck of capitalist on you turns you into a capitalist. And the entire season will be about Bernie Sanders struggling. He wants to be a socialist, but this infection of capitalism is taking him over. And he does everything he can. He takes some of Marx's distilled socialist theory, and he drinks that to try to stave off the capitalism. But it just keeps getting worse and worse. He tries to sell it to people. Marx and Engels catch him. They're like, "Oh man, what are you doing? You can't be selling this stuff. What's wrong with you?" End of the season. Oh yeah, and the capitalist, he's controlling the pig now. And the audience doesn't know that. What we do is we just see him in shadow most of the time, so we think it's a new capitalist, but it's not. It's actually the pig that ate the capitalist. Now the capitalist is controlling the pig, and so we never really see it. We just see a shadow, and sometimes you're like, "Oh, what's that? Is that a snout? What is this?" Only at the very last episode is it revealed that the capitalist pig is the antagonist for that season. The same original one. He's still alive, but controlling a pig. Final episode. Capitalism finally takes over Bernie Sanders. He's in a landfill digging through the garbage, looking for valuable rocks. Karl Marx says, Bernie, I can help you. I just need you to listen. And Bernie Sanders says, no, these are my rocks. You stay away. And then a young woman comes in. This is Europe, so she'd be a young Spanish woman. And she says, Bernie, I've looked up to you this entire time. It's so sad to see you like this. And she starts crying. Oh yeah, it's Alexandria, whatever her last name is. I call her AOC. That's what all the cool kids call her. But anyway, she says how she's been following them and chasing them across Europe. And Bernie Sanders he inspired her. And she has the same problem Bernie Sanders has. She so desperately wants to be a socialist, but deep inside she's a capitalist. And she's crying. And she goes up to Bernie and says, "I think we can do this together, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Bernie." She hugs him, and this is when we find out that AOC has a special power. While she can never be a socialist, she has the ability to instill socialism into anybody else. And the capitalism fades away from Bernie, and he's looking around and saying, why did I want these worthless rocks? And Marx looks at AOC and he says, you do that again? Cut. End of season 2. Do you like my long rambling pitch? I hope so.